One of the biggest requests I get from you guys is if I could do a video tour of my studio. So today is the day. Before this year is over, we will do the 2021 studio tour. Before we do get started, please make sure to like and subscribe if you find this content helpful. Let's go. Alright guys, so the first unit you see here is my Solaris Quantrum DA converter. It is what comes out of Pro Tools and goes into my mastering chain. So this is the main chain I'm using for all my mixes and all my masters. After the Solaris, it goes to this blue unit, which is the TubeTech HLT2AM. Now this is an EQ. It has a low shelf, a high shelf. It has a low cut and a high cut. And it also has the super useful tilt EQ. Now, tilt EQs aren't made that much for analog devices, so this is something that's really unique. It has a beautiful sound to it. It makes everything blossom that goes through it. It's not overly warm, but it does warm things up just a touch. A really great unit, and it is where I get a lot of my sound in my masters. After the TubeTech, it goes to my Better Maker mastering limiter. Now this is used just for a bit of clipping, and then sometimes I'll use the color section, which if you can see the screen on the camera, it is on now. That's not the setting I will use. I only use the odd harmonic section, that even when it's too strong for mastering, but just like 15% on the odd harmonic section can help push the mid-range a little bit more forward. After the Better Maker, it goes to the Dangerous Convert AD+. This is an awesome AD converter. I use it just clean. I don't use any of the transformer or the emphasis. I find it just changes the sound too much for me. I like a nice clean AD. And if I need to get loud, I can clip that a bit as well. This is the right side of my desk. At the top, you can see the Avalon 747. It is a great sounding tube compressor and EQ. Has an awesome tube signal path in it, and then also a very nice top end that I use for vocals from time to time. It's also great for warming up stereo mixes. Below that is my TC Electronics Clarity. This is a unit I use for metering and so forth. And then below that, you can see here is my Trinnov controller. So that controls my Trinnov d-mon, which is the main unit I use for monitoring and speaker and room correction. It's great because I have this button here is the DAW, which is Pro Tools. Then this button, I can switch quickly to the rough mix of the song I'm working on. And then lastly, if I just need to listen to iTunes or something like that, I can hit that button and everyth's there and it switches right away. There's no clicking or anything like that. This is my Avid S1. I use this with my template. So this button is set for my drums and my all music and mix bus. I can see kind of everything in the mix through that. Then this is a little more dialed into just the mastering section. And then here I can switch to all of my effects returns. So if I want to turn, reverbs up or down on the return side, I can do that really quickly. And then the last button will just go to wherever I am in the session. So makes it super great for being able to move across the session and fade things when I need to. For Pro Tools, I don't think there's a better controller. And trust me, if you've seen any of my reviews, I have reviewed quite a few of them. All right, so these are my speakers. These are the ATC SCM25s. I love these speakers. The mid-range on these is phenomenal. I used to have Barefoots. They were cool, a little bit mid, high-end hyped, and these just seem more flat to me. And I can listen to these all day, and I have no problem with them at all. Below those are something quite interesting. Those are the Northwood acoustic stands. Super amazing stands. You should read up on the science of them. It's pretty amazing what they did to build these. Really helps with the transients and clarity and no distortion from the speakers. I mean, ATCs don't have much distortion at all, but just cleared things up in a way that other stands weren't doing. So I kept them. They were pricey, but for me, monitoring stuff is worth every penny. Okay, so this is the last rack in my studio. First unit you see is green. It is the Mic DSP APB16. I've done a review on this before. If you guys were more interested in what this thing can do, I'll put the link above. But basically what it is 16 channels of compression, saturation, or limiting, depending on what plugin you use in Pro Tools. Now, it is an all analog unit, but controlled by plugins, which is great because you can bring up a session and all the settings are there. You don't have to reconfigure anything like that. It's all ready to go. So if you're more interested in checking out what that does, watch the video I already shot about that. Below that is called Analog Stage. It's by Hendy Lamps. They don't make this anymore. It's actually one of the first units they made. And it's basically just a bunch of transformers and tubes that can give you some really cool saturation sounds. I like to use this on bass. I've used it on drums from time to time. Really cool unit. It's not for everything, but it is great when it works. Below that is the backbone of my studio. That's the Lynx Aurora N. That is my interface, if you will. It's got 16 AES I/O and 16 analog I/O. It runs everything from the turn-off to the computer and all around the room. Everything works through that. It is such a great sounding interface, and even more so, such a versatile interface. It can do just about anything I need it to. I've tried a lot of different interfaces, and this has been my favorite one. And last but not least is the faithful turn-off. Now, I got this to fix a strange anomaly in my room around 100 hertz that it wasn't so much the room design. This room was designed by John Brandon. It's an amazing sounding room. It's just the size of the room. There's always going to be some nodes or issues with the room, and this actually fixed it. I had the guys from Vintage King bring it over. I tried it out. I said, I'm keeping it, and it fixes all kinds of things. And what's great about it now is it's a d-mon 6, but I'm about to send it in to Trinoff to upgrade it to be a d-mon 12. And I'm going to be building an Atmos room in the back of the room. It's going to be a small Atmos rig that I can do Atmos mixes on. But the d-mon will be such a help for that because it can calibrate the speakers and delays and all that stuff and will make everything super, super accurate. So one of my favorite units here. I use it for monitoring and speaker correction. All right, guys, so that is the room. Hopefully you found the video helpful, or it was interesting at least for you. I'm really excited about this next year coming up. We're going to be getting into Dolby Atmos on the channel. I'm building out the room behind me. It's going to be super sick, and we'll be offering Dolby Atmos mixing here as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What gear are you thinking about getting for 2022? Talk to you soon.